Welcome to Hammerspace Recording. My name is Troy Neberbarn, and today we are checking out the Synergy Soldano SLO module. This original Soldano SLO module has been out for quite a few years now, maybe 4 or 5, maybe even longer. I remember when they started to release new modules for Synergy, every few months. This was one of the ones I was really excited about trying, because up until not that long ago, just experiencing Soldano amps has been really difficult here in Perth, which is kind of something I've said about a lot of the modules I've demoed so far. I've been lucky enough to also have an SLO, a real Soldano SLO in the studio for the last maybe year and a half, which I've used on a lot of recording sessions. It is one of the best amps. I mean, you can't really say it any other way. Also, luckily in that time, I've had the SLO2 module, which is obviously the updated version of the one that we're going to check out today, with 2 channels and a bit more stuff going on. And when I had the SLO2 module here in the studio, I was able to A/B it against the actual 100 watt head. And man, they got pretty darn close. At the time, I was using the module through a Fryette 292 power amp, which is how I've run the Synergy modules in the studio here for the last maybe 2 or 3 years. That pairing is really great and really versatile. Like, there's a lot of ways you can sculpt the sound just with what's on the module itself, but obviously also the presence and depth controls on the power amp. So all in all, they sounded really close. I wasn't able to put the knobs exactly in the same place on the amp and the module and get it to sound identical, but just 5 minutes of twisting a couple of things here and there by a couple of millimeters, and man, it's basically the same sort of a thing. So I've been really excited to try the original module. Despite having a more limited feature set, it is still really versatile, and it's a really, really great sound. Like, I'm not really that fussed about having 2 independent EQ controls on every module. It's really cool and can be really useful, but I'm usually happy to just set the knobs in a position that sounds the best for one sound, and maybe just adjust the gain. So I've got maybe a bit more for a solo or a bit more for a slightly heavier section. So this module does really suit me quite well. In addition to that, I actually took this entire rig to a rehearsal last night. So that is the original SLO module in the Syn20IR. And just ran that through a 2x12 cabinet, and man, it kept up with a full band and sounded really great. And I had some compliments on it. So yeah, we're going to check out the feature set of this today. I'm going to run through the reamp section, and then we'll come back after that and have a little bit of chat about what the knobs do and how I might like to use it. We are using, as always, my 97 Les Paul Standard, reamped through the Undertone Audio GB tracker, through the Syn20IR, into a Marshall 4x12 with vintage 30s in the other room, mic'd with a single SM57. So we'll check out the reamp section and be back in a minute. The first thing I want to talk about today is a part of the Synergy modules that doesn't really get that much attention. It's maybe not one of the sexier parts of it, but certainly worth discussing, and certainly worth discussing with regards to this module. So I have grabbed the direct module as an example. I believe all or most Synergy modules have this on them, but if you go to the back of the module, there is a 3-position switch, and this is the cathode select switch. So once again, the cathode select switch. If you haven't watched my video with the direct module, please go check it out and give it the old like, please. That would be very nice of you. Let's read directly from the documentation that Synergy has provided. The cathode select switch. This 3-position switch allows you to configure the input tube base response to match the original circuit of the selected module. This will affect the feel and tightness. Each amp designer has a specific combination of components that make up their input tube circuit. We have selected the 3 most popular combinations which you can access with this switch. For example, Friedman modules use position 2, the USA voice modules typically use setting 1, the Soldano SLO uses position 3. Of course, you can experiment and try any of the positions you see that you prefer. So that's all cool. You can try whichever one you like. In my opinion, with the Synergy modules in particular, the modular format is amazing, but there are so many variables that don't get accounted for when you're, if you're running your Synergy like in a Syn 1 through like the effects return of a power amp. If you're running it directly into just a recording interface or through a PA through either the impulse response output of the Syn20IR or whatever it might be, there's a lot of things to consider. So one thing that I try and do as a starting point at least is just make sure the switch is set to what the developer, what the manufacturer has suggested or the designer has suggested, because you're never going to have the exact same ears as the person that's designed it, and in this environment, maybe not the same power amp, the same room, the same guitar, but at least if you've got a starting point of what they kind of expect you to do, you're making a reasonably informed decision about what the module sounds like. And I bring this up because when I put this module in a few days ago to test out, I always just check the documentation, and it said it should be in position 3, which is what it said there, right? A Soldano uses position 3, and it was in position 2. Now, is that good or bad? I'm not sure because I haven't tried it. But first things first, let's just try the thing that they want us to try, and then if we don't like it, maybe we can experiment from there. I have actually had an experience with when I got my Bogner Ecstasy module. Funnily enough, I just kind of pulled it out and started flicking the switch without really thinking about it too much. And it took me a little while to bond with that module because I kind of just had it set in the wrong setting, and I put it on the shelf and didn't really play it for a while. When I worked out what had happened, put it into the position that it was recommended in the document, and it sounds way better and feels way better. So I wanted to just mention that first because they do specifically mention Soldano on the documentation. So let's have a look at the module. So I did use this for rehearsal last night, and it sounded really good. The people in the band gave me some nice comments about it, so that was cool. Pretty much where the knobs are set right now is how I had it set up for this rehearsal. So it was the Syn20IR through a Marshall 2x12 cab with some Vintage 30 speakers in it. It's like a 2x12 vertical cab, and it sounds a bit like this. You would have heard in the reamp section, I flicked through the structure switches as I am wont to do in all of these modules. I prefer structure switch A on this module. C works reasonably well. It is just a bit of a darker sound, and I feel like I have to compensate for the darkness by using the reactance knob. On this module, I kind of like the reactance down a little bit, maybe more like the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock sort of range. It just, for me, makes the module feel a little bit more, just a little bit more open. And it gets a little snarly and bright the more that's turned up. So I sort of find the balance of the structure switch A and the reactance knob a little bit lower to be my preferred setting. Just quickly, I'll go through these to demonstrate. So this is structure switch A, B, C, A. So C it still feels good, but it's just a little bit darker and a little bit warmer. And I think for the sound that I expect to get out of a Soldano, it doesn't quite suit what I'm after. So the reactance knob as well, if we're in A, I'll just turn that up again just to demonstrate. Somewhere around there feels pretty good to me. It doesn't feel as gnarly when I crank it all the way up, and I sort of felt like on, I think it was the Überschall module maybe, and the VH4 module. The more I turned it up, it just sounded a little bit. I think I said at the time artificial. It makes it just feel a little bit nasty to my ears. There's a sweet spot with it, and I think with this, the sweet spot is larger, but for my ears, I just prefer it down a little bit. And I also feel like that with the Friedman modules that I've tried, which I'll be demoing those soon. I'll do a video of those soon. But just in a lower position works really well for me. So, in terms of the way the module works and the blue and the red channels, I kind of stupidly pre-reading the instructions just assumed that they were the same channel with just independent gains. So if you just wanted to have a higher gain and a lower gain sound, you could do it, but they were otherwise the same. It's not quite the case. Apparently the blue channel and the red channel are both voiced slightly differently, which I think you probably could have heard that in the reamp section. So just starting with the blue channel, this was when I was playing it, rehearsing with it, it's the channel that I preferred the most, just in a higher gain setting. So maybe around this sort of 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock position. There is a spot where it just starts to open up and you just kind of get that nice, like little bit of extra harmonic saturation at the top, which happens a little bit after 12 o'clock. But this feels to me still like quite a usable sound. But it's just that tiny tweak where you just get that little bit of extra saturation, and it just makes the more chugga stuff feel more comfortable. Now, I found at lower gain settings, it's not like a pushed clean sort of a sound. It still feels reasonably distorted and really reasonably dirty, even if you're in like the 9 o'clock sort of a setting. It sort of thins out a little bit as well. It's not necessarily something you couldn't compensate for with the EQ controls, but I think it would be a difficult sound to blend channel A and channel B, being that it only has the one set of EQs. And as I said, that doesn't really bother me so much, particularly on the Syn20IR or maybe the Syn30 as well. When there's a clean channel, I would probably just use the clean channel for the clean and go from like distorted to more distorted using this module. So at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, it feels reasonably good to me. To get back to the way that both channels are voiced, again, you may have heard it from the reamp section, but they are pretty similar. But the red channel probably has a little bit more gain and a little bit more compression to it. It's not a hugely different thing. I'm not 100% certain how they've done it internally to get that sort of sound. What I'll do is I'll just put both knobs in the exact same position and just match the output volume as well, just so it sounds pretty even. And I'll just flick between both, and I'll give you a little bit of lead solo stuff as well so you can hear what it sounds like. So Blue channel. Red channel. So yeah, it's not a huge wholesale difference. I noticed by having both sets of gain knobs like turn all the way up, it actually seemed pretty much the same. So I'm not 100% certain what that really represents. It didn't feel like at lower gain settings. It's not like the pots are almost set to different places. So, maybe the red channel appears like it's got more gain. It doesn't really feel like that to me. It's just interesting that, yeah, they both sounded pretty full on when it was all maxed out. But yeah, certainly for the chugga riff I just did then, like you can feel the red channel just has a little bit more sustain to it. For single note stuff, that specific note that I just finished on, the way it sustains and hangs on, like that's kind of the money for a solo tone for me. And you can see the gain knobs are basically set the same. It just has, like, compared to the blue channel, it just has that satisfying, difficult to describe quality that just makes it really easy to play. And yeah, it's not gainy in the sense it's like fizzy and bright or anything like that. It just feels like sustainy, and that it's quite comfortable to play. In terms of playing in more drop tuning stuff, I've put the guitar into drop D, and we can just have a quick hear about how that sounds. On the blue channel. So the red channel certainly feels more compressed. It is a little bit easier to play, but the responsiveness is different. Like I do like a dynamic guitar sound where I can hit it hard and feel the air move a bit more. So, it's a horses for courses sort of situation. Currently, where the gain is set on the red channel, it doesn't maybe feel that chugga if you're going to be playing metal stuff, but we can crank the gain up a tiny bit more and just hear how that's going to sound. It gets you most of the way there. I'd say a lot of metal players would probably use this with a boost pedal or something in front just to push it harder and maybe take out like a little bit of that bottom end. But yeah, to finish up, on the EQ controls on this module, I kind of like them all just a bit above 12 o'clock. The mid control in particular just opens it up a bit. It gets to a point where it doesn't feel like the EQ is it's imposing itself too much. It just feels like it's giving just more size to the sound. Sometimes with the tone stacks on certain amps, as you start to push the knobs up and down, you just really start to hear the character of the amp change too much, or maybe it's too narrow of a boost or something like that. This feels reasonably broad, and it just feels really satisfying to boost the mids. And the same as the treble, like I don't feel like it gets too harsh the more I crank it up. Probably at the moment it's a little too harsh. I'll back it off a little bit, but yeah, it's super usable, and yeah. So that was the Soldano SLO module for the Synergy system. This has probably quickly become one of my favorite modules from the ones that I've had the chance to demo so far. It's a sound and it's a feel that I'm just really comfortable playing, and I'd be able to get through most of the hard rock gigs that I do, kind of just with the limited controls that are on it. So yeah, Thank you very much to Synergy for sending me this module to demo. I'm very grateful to be able to just try all these things and really experiment and understand how they work. There's plenty more videos to come, so please, if you like what you see, go tell somebody. Thank you very much, KingsX. But like the channel, subscribe, hit me up on Instagram if you have any questions, and if you like the guitar sounds that I get, you can head over to my website, which is hammerspacerecording.com, and check out my Tonex packs. So until next time, thank you so much, and I'll see you later. Bye.